Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Geezerology and our YouTube series called Celebrating 50. Today, Bob's going to go back half a century to when he was a young man and used to love to listen to the album Smokin by Humble Pie. This was Humble Pie's fifth studio album, their first studio album without founding guitarist Peter Frampton, who went on to do his own thing. This was released in March of 1972. And an odd thing about Humble Pie, this was a British group who actually had more success here in the United States than they did in their homeland of England. This was, Smokin was their best-selling album, I believe. It reached number 6 on the US Billboard 200 album charts. In the UK, it only got up to number 20, but it got to number 6 here. And it was certified gold in the US, the only country where this was certified gold, the only album that they ever had certified gold. But anyway, that's enough for me. That's pretty much what I know about Humble Pie's Smokin'. But now I'm going to turn it over to Bob because he knows what he's talking about as far as this album goes. Take it away, Bobby.
All right. Thank you, Scotty. So before we get to 1972 and Smokin', we need to take a brief look at Humble Pie in 1971. And in 71, the band was riding high and they were being pushed by a pretty strong tailwind. They had released a respectable studio album called Rock On, and then they started touring incessantly, and they developed a reputation as a great live act, blues, rock, boogie music, extended jams, and they became stadium headliners. And the times that they did serve as an opening act, a lot of times they blew people off the stage. There's an account of they had opened for Alice Cooper. And after their sit ended, Cooper dropped into their dressing room before he took the stage and said, "How am I supposed to top this?" So, and based on those live performances, they released a live album called Performance Rockin' the Fillmore, which went to number 21 in the United States on the Billboard 200 and really broke them to a bigger audience. And this is back in the 70s when a live album could make a band. You know, witness Kiss Alive, Humble Pie's Performance, Frampton,
Peter Frampton.
yeah, and all of that, you know. So Cheap Tricks at Budokan. So this is the era when a live album could make a band, and that's what it did for Humble Pie. So they're ready to go into the studio to do Smokin' on a high note. But then Peter Frampton says, "I want to go have a solo career." So he leaves the band, and now they have to find a guitarist. And they looked at several people, and Clem Clemson heard that they were looking for a guitarist. So he contacted the band and said, "Hey, I'm interested." So they said, "Well, come in for an audition." Meanwhile, Steve Marriott, the leader of Humble Pie, listens to the Coliseum Live album and says, "I want Clemson." So Clemson is coming in thinking he's going to be auditioning for the band, but they've already decided they want him. So he walks into a news conference that Humble Pie has called, where they announce that Clemson is joining the band. And Clemson went along with it. He joined the band, and they went on seamlessly without Peter Frampton. So they go into the studio to record Smokin'. This is a dynamite album. If you are into boogie music, blues rock, especially the stuff that was coming out in the early 70s, this is something you need to listen to. It is arguably their best studio album and the last great Humble Pie album. It contains some Humble Pie classics, Hot and Nasty, 30 Days in the Hole, Come On Everybody, Roadrunner, and some of those were covers, but they all became Humble Pie classics and became staples of their live shows. 30 Days in the Hole is probably the best known song off of the album. Wasn't necessarily a great hit single, but it became one of their better known songs. And it's Steve Marriott's telling about minor jail sentences for the various substance abuses that he got into. And throughout the song, he references some of the different drugs, that he's taken, and the jail sentences that he got for it. I kind of laugh about it, but it's actually pretty sad because Marriott's substance abuse has helped kill this band, and actually did have a negative impact on his life and his music. So Clemson came in as a great addition to the band, and his guitar work on this album is excellent. He was a great blues player. The band does some great covers. They cover Roadrunner. They cover some Ray Charles tunes. Just a great example of blues rock. And if you are interested in what was coming out in those early 70s in that genre, this is a great place to go. The band covers Eddie Cochran's Come On Everybody, which became a concert staple. They cover Ray Charles' I Wonder, and the band says that they recorded that song specifically to showcase Clemson's blues guitar playing. They took Junior Walker and the All-Stars, his song Roadrunner, and they meshed it in with a studio jam called Roadrunner's G Jam. And so they also have some guest stars that are on this album. Stephen Stills dropped in and did a guest spot on the Roadrunner G Jam and did some background vocals. Alexis Corner comes in and guests on the track Old Time Feeling. And this is actually one of the tracks where Marriott did not do lead vocals. Instead, Greg Kent Ridley, one of the band members, and Corner do lead vocals on this particular song. And excuse me. So as Scott mentioned, this was their best-selling album, went to number 6, and ended the year in 1972 as the 36th best-selling album of the year in the United States. Smokin is a Steve Marriott project. This is Steve Marriott now with total control of the band, with Peter Frampton gone. This is where Steve Marriott's head was. He was into the boogie music, the blues rock. The guy was 5 feet 4 inches tall, blessed with a powerful voice and a great stage presence. And so Marriott's talents just fit into this blues rock boogie stuff perfectly. And so I've always been a big Humble Pie fan. Smokin is one thing that's also really positive for it is it's blues rock material, it's boogie music, but it's kept to a shorter stuff. It's not, Performance is a great live album, but I think they got a little self-indulgent because they would get into these big, long, extended jams, and you had songs that would take up an entire side of an album. So this, the material is more concise. They do get an 8-minute and 53-minute jam on I Wonder, but like I say, that was done to showcase Clemson's blues guitar. You've got a couple songs that clock in, got 3 songs that clock in a little over 5 minutes, but it's Humble Pie held to a more concise standard, and I think we really benefit from that. Anyway, I think it's their best studio album, and if you're interested in hearing what Humble Pie was like back in those early days of classic rock music, I strongly suggest you check this album out. It is a gem in the blues rock genre. It's a gem in the boogie music genre, and I recommend it wholeheartedly. So anyway, that's my take on Smokin.
I can tell you from personal experience that you will know pretty quickly if you put on this album and to explore it, you'll know pretty quickly whether this is whether this is up your alley or not. It's not up mine. And here's my thing. Steve Marriott has this voice. It's a Robert Plant voice. It's a who's the guy, AC/DC?
Bon Scott.
Not Bon Scott, but the guy who replaced Bon Scott. Anyway,
Brian, whatever.
Yeah, Brian Johnson. It's this big, loud, booming, screaming voice, and I can't get past it. It's just like it's all about the volume, and yeah, that's why I can't get into Led Zeppelin. That's why I never got into AC/DC. And that's why I put on this record a couple of times with the intent to listen to it, and I would get into about the third track and go, enough. I don't want to hear this stuff anymore. So that's my recommendation. My recommendation is if you'll know pretty quickly, go ahead and give it a spin, give it a shot, and if you can get past that, this might be exactly what you're looking for. Yeah. But I'm sorry to rain on your parade, Bob, but that's that was just my experience with it.
Well, if I may, Scott, I know based on our discussion, I believe last year of Humble Pie's live album, that is an attitude that I was fully expecting from you. And I have respect for you for your musical taste. But I just got to say this, there are times when I just want to crank the volume up to 11, play air guitar, and just rock out. And Humble Pie satisfies that urge to do that, and it's not intellectual, it's not progressive stuff. It's just plain old get down in your face boogie music that just makes you want to dance and light up a bong. So
I totally get it, but I can't hear those guitars. I can't hear that boogie music. I can't hear that good bong smoking music because I just can't get past that voice. That's all I hear. That's all I hear. Yeah. Okay. So that said, I'm sure most of you folks out there who give this a listen are going to find something to like about this album. So, I'm just an old curmudgeon sometimes when it comes to things like this. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks for that review, Bob. I'm glad you told me about this album because I just couldn't get to the point where I wanted to explore it. So you gave me the opportunity by telling me what this album is. You listen to it, so I don't have to, right?
I'm glad I took one for the team.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back next Friday. I'm going to tell you next Friday about the new album by Midnight Oil titled Resist. And for our Tuesday roundtables we have coming up, we're going to get back into the band's discography. We're going to get to Electric Ladyland here in a couple weeks, and we're going to get to Traveling Wilburys debut album. I believe that's next week. So join us for that stuff. We have some fun stuff on the plans for you. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.